Famous television shows have done crossovers for years now, and although many crossover events may be synonymous with the shows in question, some are more subtle and nuanced. It is crazy to think that sometimes all it takes is one character to bridge the gap between multiple shows. This list right here compiles the good and the bad in a way that makes you go, I can't believe I forgot that one. I'm Gareth, this is What Culture, and here are 10 TV characters that appeared outside their own shows. Number 10, Abed from Community on Cougar Town. Community is an incredible show. It is 6 seasons of mostly pure gold, full of surreal episodes based on nerdy parodies and meta self-referential comedy bits. The heart of the show belongs to Danny Pudi's wacky and lovable Abed Nadir, who has a serious obsession with pop culture. Abed starts the show as a lover of Cougar Town. The first time a reference is made to it is during the Season 2 episode Aerodynamics of Gender, when Abed's Robocop vision displays a memo telling him to record the show. 2 episodes later, Jeff makes another reference to Abed's addiction, when he says Annie took to deception like Abed took to Cougar Town. It's in the Season 2 episode Critical Film Studies, however, when Abed's love of Cougar Town takes center stage. The episode revolves around Jeff and Abed at a fancy dinner on Abed's birthday, while the boy stoically tells the story of how he pooped himself on the set of his favorite show. We eventually find out that Abed was just doing a bit from the film My Dinner with Andre. Oh, Abed. That would have been the end to that unusual story, but behind the scenes, the producers of both shows were actually close friends. So as a sort of inside joke between the men, Danny Pudi was sent down to the set of Cougar Town to film a scene that was eerily similar to what Abed described in his Dinner with Andre-esque monologue. Pudi even took it upon himself to run off mid-scene as if he had in fact pooped his pants. Number 9, Katy from Keene on Riverdale. Riverdale is a show very much like Marmite, if Marmite included cringe-inducing quotes and outlandish plot twists. And like it or not, since its premiere in 2017, Riverdale has become one of the most successful TV shows of recent times. Series creator Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa struck gold with the show, based on characters from the Archie comics, and quickly got started on another CW show based off other beloved characters from the same universe. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was another huge success for Roberto, showing the creator could give his audience a completely different show that has just as much of an addictive quality. Also an honourable mention for this list, the character Ben Button, who had a small arc on Season 3 of Riverdale, also made a cameo as a pizza delivery boy on Season 1 of Sabrina. Adding Sabrina the Teenage Witch to his belt was not enough though, as Roberto proceeded to acquire the rights to Katy Keene, another beloved character from the Archie universe. To spark up interest for the new show and to show off his catalogue of iconic characters, Roberto had Lucy Hale, the leading lady of Katy Keene, appear with Camila Mendes Veronica when the mob boss's daughter took a trip to New York. Turns out the girls were old friends. A makeover and trip to a bar where the girls share love life woes solidified this. New York is just such a small place, huh? You can bump into anyone. Number 8, Jess from New Girl on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Brooklyn Nine-Nine and New Girl are 2 of the most beloved sitcoms from recent memory. Both of them share the same distinct, unhinged energy, and when watching the 2 shows, you can easily picture the characters conversing with one another, right? It wasn't much of a surprise then when the 2 shows hosted a crossover event in which pretty much the whole cast of Brooklyn Nine-Nine appeared on a New York-centered episode of New Girl. Some of the hilarious and bizarre interactions included a subway performance show with Winston and Nick that is watched by the Boyle family, and a stilted conversation between stone-faced Captain Holt and bubbly, quirky girl Jess. But it is the other half of this crossover event that has made this list, in a scene where Jake Peralta commandeers a young, frantic girl's car, her crossover as she calls it. This classes-glad girl never states her name, and we learn almost nothing about her except that her soup is very important. Honestly, if someone was to watch this Season 4 episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine not knowing the show New Girl, they would probably never realize who they'd just seen. Very sneaky, Fox. Very sneaky. What's been your favorite crossover event on television? Let me know in the comments section right down below. Number 7, Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers on Archer. H. John Benjamin is one of the best voice actors of our time, and his distinct gravelly drawl is instantly recognizable to almost every millennial with a television. Benjamin's two most iconic characters are Bob Belcher and Sterling Archer, and these two men couldn't be any less alike. Archer is an alcoholic spy who harasses every woman at work while trying to maintain his suave persona. Sort of like an animated Don Draper with a much cooler job. Poor Bob Belcher is none of those things. Though they both share the same voice and dark hair, Bob is a beaten down but lovable father of three, who treads the line of passionate family man and couldn't care less no-nonsense husband. Not much else connected the two men until season 4 of Archer premiered. The opening episode of the season began with the titular Archer suffering from amnesia. This was the perfect opportunity for Benjamin to finally have his two animated worlds collide, as the amnesiac Archer shows off his new life as Bob, a husband and father of 3 that works in a restaurant. Sound familiar? This wasn't the only thing that carried over from the more family-friendly show, Bob's Burgers. Archer himself wears Bob's signature outfit and his family are identical, just animated into the Archer style. The real crossover character here is Linda Belcher, as she is played by the same actor who voices her on Bob's Burgers. And watching Bob and Linda have one of their signature spats while Bob is covered in Russian spy blood is very unnerving if you're a fan of both shows. Number 6, Helen from Drake and Josh on Victorious. Drake and Josh was a wacky children's sitcom that aired in the early 2000s about a chalk and cheese stepbrother duo that constantly, without fail, got into unrealistic but hilarious trouble. The show boasted an extremely good supporting cast of actors that would go on to become Nickelodeon mainstays and icons. Besides Miranda Cosgrove's scene-stealing Megan, the most memorable characters come from the Premiere Theatre, a cinema where both boys worked, including Crazy Steve. Yet it is Yvette Nicole Brown's character Helen that makes this list. Helen owned the cinema and she was famous for loving the mischievous Drake while constantly berating her employee Josh. We only learn a few things about Helen throughout the run of the show, including her history as a child star on the fictional show Happy Times. And it is this fact that links Helen to another Nickelodeon show, Victorious. When the principal of Hollywood Arts resigns, child star Helen Dubois comes in to shake up the status quo of Tori and her friends' lives by making them all re-audition for school. It's always cool when children's networks cross over their shows to connect the worlds of your favorite characters together. And although this character crossover is a small one, it was definitely a throwback for all you Drake and Josh fans. Oh, and if you forgot about Helen's, let's say, intense nature, watching her singing takedown of Jade West surely reminded you. If you right there are having fun with this list, my friend, then hit that subscribe button down below and there is more where this came from with even more What Culture videos hitting your screen every single day. Number 5, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo on Supernatural. Supernatural is a show known for having strange, out-of-the-box episodes laced in meta-humor. From an episode where a high school puts on a musical about the main characters' lives, to an episode where the men are transported into the world of the actors playing the characters. Supernatural is chock full of creative ideas, which isn't surprising considering there are 320 episodes, and although the end of the show neared and the fatigue that every long-running show faces started to emerge, a standout episode of season 13 reminded us all how off the wall and original the series could be. Now, combining the shows Supernatural and Scooby-Doo seems like an extremely random choice, but when you actually think about it for a moment, it does make a lot of sense. Both shows tended to follow the same formula. A mysterious big bad wreaks havoc while main characters figure out and unmask the bad guys at the end of the episode. So created an episode where our leading men get transported into a real 70s episode of Scooby-Doo unsurprisingly struck gold. The Scooby Gang in its entirety make an appearance in the episode, and each character works impeccably off of our usually live-action heroes. The most pleasing cameo had to come from Matthew Lillard's Shaggy though. Not only did Shaggy and Scooby's scenes with the boys provide a necessary comedic relief, but having Lillard play Shaggy in it makes him the only Scooby-Doo actor to appear as the same character in 3 different formats. Number 4, Chandler from Friends on Caroline in the City. During the 90s, NBC were on top of the world. They were the proud parents of several hit late-night sitcoms, including Seinfeld and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But NBC's most famous show, arguably ever, was also on the air in the 90s. Friends. The word sitcom is synonymous with Friends, and everyone in the world was tuning in while it aired to find out what their favorite group of quirky New Yorkers were up to that week. NBC came up with the idea to do a Thursday night crossover event in which some of their shows spent their episodes in a New York City-wide blackout. This stunt combined the worlds of Friends, Mad About You, and Mad Men of the People, and would have included Seinfeld if the showrunners hadn't refused to participate. The noteworthy crossover came from the New York-based show Caroline in the City, starring Leah Thompson. In the season 1 episode, Caroline and the Folks, Annie is browsing films at the video store when a cute guy spots and attempts to flirt with her. The guy is awkward as he tries to impress Annie by picking out the piano to rent. But when he sees she has chosen a horror movie to watch, the handsome stranger gets embarrassed and runs out of the store, leaving her speechless. The crazy part is that this isn't just any nameless stranger, folks. It's Chandler from Friends. Once again, New York doesn't really seem like such a big place, does it? Number 3, David Brent from the UK office on the American Office. Ricky Gervais will go down in the history books for creating one of the best sitcoms of all time. Twice! The UK Office may have only ran for 14 episodes, yet it is considered a classic. And the American Office ran for 9 seasons and is still relevant to this day. The two shows were masters of cringe-inducing humor, and the champions of this comedy were the two branch managers, David Brent and Michael Scott. While both men were different in a lot of ways, they did share a lot of similarities too, including their complete inaptitude at reading a room. So it made sense then for the two men to get along swimmingly if they ever did meet. This thought was on every fan's mind while the American Office was airing, and when each episode dropped, they would wonder, is this the day the two legends will finally meet? Well, we all eventually got our wish during the season 7 episode, The Seminar, when Michael ran into Mr. Brent outside a lift and promptly mimicked his distinctive English accent. The preceding conversation is awkward and stilted, and if it had happened between any other two people, you would have to call it an unsuccessful meeting. But considering it's between two men who were only able to converse awkwardly, this meant they were getting along just fine. There was even a hug between the blokes when a "that's what she said" joke is made. Although you do have to wonder how Michael would have felt if he found out Brent had interviewed for his old job. Number 2, Steve Urkel from Family Matters on Full House. The late 80s and early 90s were prime time for family television. As technology and entertainment became less and less foreign to the masses, families started coming together around the television set as an activity, forcing television studios to set their focus on family entertainment. Two of the most famous family sitcoms of this time were Family Matters and Full House. Both shows presented the average American family in a way that was accessible for all audiences. And because of the diversity between the shows, television finally felt like it was starting to represent everyone. So understandably, people were extremely excited to see the 90s most iconic figure Steve Urkel pop up in a season 4 episode of Full House. In the episode, aptly named Stephanie Gets Framed, young Steph takes a confidence blow when she finds out she has to wear glasses. Enter Steve Urkel, the most confident glasses wearer of all time. Urkel, in his usual fashion, convinces Stephanie not to care about her new frames and to be confident in herself. The episode premiered to great reception and even got a shout out in the more recent remake Fuller House. The highlight of the crossover was definitely seeing John Stamos Jesse trying to teach his signature swagger of a walk to awkward and nerdy Urkel, followed shortly by the boy attempting to do the same. Good times. Number 1, Lil Sebastian from Parks and Recreation on The Good Place. The winner of the most subtle crossover character goes to Lil Sebastian, Pawnee's very own famous mini-horse. Everyone in Pawnee, Indiana was obsessed with their local celebrity, Lil Sebastian. Well, everyone but Ben, he really didn't get the hype. The episode where we find out Lil Sebastian has died is probably one of Parks and Rec's best. Not only is it the episode where Leslie is approached about running for office, but we also get to see an eyebrowless Ron Swanson. Look at him. This episode also introduces us to Mouse Rat's greatest hit, 5,000 Candles in the Wind, a song that's like Candle in the Wind by Elton John, but 5,000 times better. With such an absurd send-off, we all just assumed that our favourite tiny horse got into heaven. done. He traded his legs for angel wings. It's what we all expected from the famous stallion, and it's nothing less than he deserves. So, when the creator of Parks and Rec went and made another hit television show, The Good Place, based on the happenings that take place after you die, it wasn't such a leap for Michael Schur to include Lil Sebastian in the show. In the season 3 episode, The Worst Possible Use of Free Will, there is a blink and you'll miss it cameo of Lil Sebastian during a flashback of Pick a Pet Day. And although the cameo is brief, it sets you up with a lifetime of wondering, could Lil Sebastian be a resident of the bad place? Who knows?